In this lesson, we're going to discuss the key stakeholders that are involved in cloud migrations. Now, when it comes to cloud design and migrations, identifying and working with key stakeholders is going to be crucial to the success of your projects. A key stakeholder is any individual or group that has a significant interest or concern in the outcome of a project, initiative, or organization. They may have the ability to influence the decision-making process, or they may be impacted by the outcome of the given project. Key stakeholders can include people like executives, managers, employees, customers, suppliers, and shareholders, but there are many others outside of this list too. In the context of a cloud assessment and migration, your key stakeholders may include individuals or groups within your governance, operations, business management, and information technology areas of your business, as well as the roles that may have specific concerns, levels of influence, and interests related to anything inside of your project. Identifying and effectively working with these key stakeholders is going to be crucial to the success of your project, as it helps to ensure that all the concerns and needs of all the relevant parties are being addressed. Now, the first step in working with key stakeholders is to identify who those key stakeholders are. This includes taking note of their level of influence on the project, any concerns they may have about cloud computing and the project as a whole, and their level of interest in the project. It's important to understand these factors in order to more effectively communicate and address the needs of each stakeholder group that you've identified. Once your organization has identified its key stakeholders, it's going to be really useful to organize them by role into one of four groups. This would be governance, operations, business management, and information technology. For example, the stakeholders involved with governance may primarily be concerned with regulatory compliance, security, and business continuity. Stakeholders in operations, on the other hand, are instead focused on things like vendor relationships, service level agreements, and performance requirements. If you're talking to the business management stakeholders, they're going to be primarily concerned with service availability, quality, and cost reduction. And if you're working with the information technology stakeholders, it's important to realize that they're more focused on technical capabilities and the increased services that are available via cloud solutions that you may be implementing. Next, your organization needs to identify its business needs and then communicate them in terms that are meaningful to your stakeholders. This is one of the most important steps in working with key stakeholders, and includes addressing any specific concerns that your stakeholders may have, as well as being able to communicate the benefits of cloud computing to them in a way that is relevant to their role and responsibilities. In addition to identifying your business needs and communicating them in terms that are meaningful to the stakeholders, it's also going to be important to provide additional information, such as the timelines for the migration and any potential service interruptions. This helps stakeholders understand the scope of the project and plan for them accordingly. Next, you should also ensure that you're properly establishing communication and that the communication is clear and consistent when you're working with your key stakeholders. This includes establishing a means of communication and determining the frequency of the communication based on the needs of each stakeholder group that you've identified earlier. For some, this may be as infrequently as a quarterly update, while others, it may include daily status updates either by email, a phone call, or even an in-person visit to their offices each and every day, depending on the level or the role of that stakeholder who you're trying to keep informed. Finally, you also need to establish your point of contacts. Now, the assessment phase is an excellent opportunity to establish a single point of contact for any questions, concerns, or ideas that may come up during the migration. This point of contact will provide two-way communication and allow stakeholders to bring questions to the cloud team, and also allowing the cloud team to communicate outward to the stakeholders through that singular point of contact. This provides a unifying voice during your cloud assessments, migrations, and operations, and makes things run so much smoother. Remember, a cloud deployment is a major event, and it can be really disruptive for a lot of employees inside the organization. Having clear communication about the business direction, the overall cloud choices, and the service interruptions can make this transition go much smoother. Identifying and working with key stakeholders throughout the assessment and migration process is also essential to the success of your project. By following the steps outlined in this lesson, organizations can effectively address the needs and concerns of each stakeholder group that's going to be involved in your organization's transition into the cloud environment.